Mother is a 2009 released South Korean drama directed by Bong Joon-ho.
It's the story of a very protective mother who has a 27-year-old son who, how do we put it, he's...
Intellectually challenged?
Yes, very well put, yes. So, he's a little bit childlike on his outlook. For example, he says he sleeps with his mum. Obviously, with his friends and people think that's hilarious when he's just quite innocently means that he sleeps in the same bed as her. Nothing incestuous going on that we see anyway.
No.
So anyway, yeah, she's obviously very protective of him because of that. She's worried about him all the time, that he's going to get himself into trouble. He hangs around with a guy that she doesn't really like who, kind of gets him into a little bit of trouble sometimes and is quite happy to let him take the blame for things. There's a young girl murdered in the town. It's a small town in South Korea. They haven't had a murder there for many years. Yeah, she's bludgeoned. And her body's left on a roof hanging over the side for the whole town to see. There's sort of circumstantial evidence that places this young guy there, who's called Do-jun. The murder is pinned on him. Yeah, he's arrested by the police and put in prison, and then he's sort of coerced into signing a confession. And of course his mother is distraught by this, as you can imagine. The film is basically her trying to clear his name, trying to find out who really did commit this crime. She hires a lawyer, but he's not really interested in fighting the case properly. She begins her own sort of investigation and starts asking around town about the girl who was murdered and things like that. She gets more and more desperate in her efforts to sort of clear her son's name.
So obviously Parasite won the Oscar a few weeks ago. So we're going to do a month of Korean films, South Korean films.
Yep.
I don't know if there are films from North Korea. I'm sure there are, but we're going to steer clear of them and stay.
They're not readily available in the West, are they?
Well, neither are quite a few South Korean films as well. Because we've decided, obviously, on this channel, we try to do lesser known films. There is a handful of South Korean films that a lot of people know. Old Boy is probably one of the most famous ones, and there are other ones as well. Can you
The
name
The Host.
The Host, yeah, exactly.
Train to Busan.
So, Train to Busan. But then there's probably, again, like any country, there are films that not many people know. There are really obscure films that, are very, very hard to get. And I think that was a slight trouble with this. So we have picked 4 films that we're going to do over the next 4 weeks. I don't know if any of them are completely obscure.
No, I think if you are a fan of foreign films, then you may well have heard of them. And of course, Bong Joon-ho's back catalogue is now, getting more interest because of Parasite. It wasn't like he was completely unknown before. The Host was quite popular outside of Korea, and Snowpiercer was obviously sort of, while it did feature Korean actors, it of course had Chris Evans and Tilda Swinton and other, well-known actors from the UK and the US. But even that was kind of, it never even got released in the cinemas in the UK.
We've started this week with Mother, which of course is directed by Bong Joon-ho, who has directed Parasite. So we thought we'd go with this one.
Yep.
And I really enjoy this one. I had seen this one before. I really liked this film. I will say now I preferred this to Parasite. I wasn't completely sold on Parasite for the story. I love the visuals and I love his visuals. I think no doubt he is a very visual director. And especially, in fact, I think for me, Parasite I thought was more visually interesting to look at than Mother. But for me, the story in Mother was more interesting than Parasite. So, Parasite has some wonderful, very striking imagery in that film. Quite surreal at times, some very strange, surreal moments. And I think you get that in the plot in Mother. But I think what's really good, in this film, is Hye-ja Kim, who plays the mother. Her performance is so striking.
Yeah.
She's a bit, because this is a murder mystery in a sense. So she's a little bit like a South Korean Miss Marple. A little bit. She's so kind of wants to protect her son in this that she will go to the end of the world to. She would basically. Well, you watch the film and you'll find out what she does to protect her son, and nothing is almost too great. I don't know. There's a very weird moment at the beginning. So the first thing we see is her dancing in a field, which I thought was kind of strangely reminded me of Sound of Music.
It reminded me of Theresa May running through a field of wheat.
Right. It reminded me of Sound of Music with Julie Andrews running through the fields of of Switzerland, doing all that dance stuff. Yeah. Quite an odd moment, and so straight away you're like, okay, who is this person? Where are we going with this story? And that's, I think, what I really liked about this film is that it's so atmospheric.
Yeah.
And there's lots of kind of twists and turns along the way, and you don't quite know where it's going at times. because it can be quite comical at times, it can be quite dark. There's a lot of discussion about mental illness, because of course her son has mental illness of sorts. And so there's that dialogue going on.
There's quite a strong theme of memory as well, because the son has sort of problems with his memory.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember, what happened because he does follow this girl, but he doesn't remember what happens afterwards, because he was drunk, basically. And there's other things that he can't remember sometimes. And she claims to have an acupuncture point in the thigh where, if I give you acupuncture here, it will help you forget, painful memories. And that's sort of a theme that goes through the film, and how despite you can't erase things that happened just by forgetting about them, is basically what it's that's kind of what it's saying. Just because you can't remember what happened doesn't mean it didn't happen. And there's other things that he remembers about his past with her. Again, we won't spoil it, but quite a painful memory that he has forgotten, but then suddenly remembers. He does this thing like that helps him remember.
Things, which can get him into trouble in certain places.
Yes.
Certainly. There's also, there's photography is used. There's a camera phone that has of features quite prominently in the plot as well. So, memory and photography, obviously those two are plot devices that crop up in lots of films, and they're very powerful. Obviously, memories are very powerful things to all of us. There's some like I said, there's some very funny moments. There's a very funny moment near the beginning, which just... I laughed out loud the first time. I laughed out loud this time as well. When so they have to follow. So right at the beginning of the film, this black Benz Mercedes takes out Do Jun on the street, and then they kind of make chase and they jump in a taxi to follow him, and they end up going to this golf course. And there's a very funny moment where his friend comes along, kicks off the side of the mirror. And then he jumps up as well, but misses it and lands on his arse. And so it's got. It's funny. It's very funny, and I think the performances from those two actors were really, really good. And I was captivated by all the performance in this film. I think it's really. I think because I've said before in other videos, I like it. We all like acting. Acting can be wooden at times, but it's interesting with non-English language films. Can you tell who's being wooden or who's not? It's harder to tell.
If the line delivery isn't quite there, would you know? Possibly not.
Possibly not. No, exactly. I think that's quite an interesting thing. Although, obviously they have to captivate you. Yeah. And they do in this film.
That's what I found. Personally, I preferred Parasite, but then, I was really pulled in by it and invested in it. But then I saw that in the cinema, where it's easier to sort of lose yourself in the film. Whereas Mother, I watched at home, where sort of distractions and things like that. So, but then I was invested in that, and I was never bored. So I don't know. Parasite had a bit more going on in it. And there's a bit of a twist, and I liked that.
Yeah,
there is kind of in Mother as well, but it's different kinds of films, really.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed Parasite, and I was totally drawn into it the whole time. And I don't know. There was just something. And maybe I should watch it again. There was just something about it that didn't sit well with me, and I can't explain what that was. But I certainly enjoyed it, and visually, it's just near the end of the film, there's some amazing visual stuff going on. I'll just say toilet, just amazing, incredible visual scene. So
Good.
Also, I think with this film. Because it feels quite Hitchcockian
it does,
at times, and I think even the music at times felt like I can't quite explain what the music was doing, obviously without hearing it, but it's quite playful, the music, and I think that's what's quite interesting about it. The film is quite playful, although it's following quite a dark theme, and was this strange relationship between mother and son, which is slightly worrying. There is this playfulness about the film. So yeah, I think this film's really good. I don't know, I don't think it's that obscure. Obviously Bong Joon-ho has been around for quite a long time. Memories of Murder is an early one of his, which I have seen a long time ago. It's very hard to get hold of. You pay quite a lot of money to get hold of that one. But he's had recent success with Netflix and Okja. Yeah, what was his first film?
It's called Barking Dogs Never Bite, which is about a guy who's irritated by a neighbour's yapping dog, which is fair enough, if you ask me. Cats are better. Anyway...
It's interesting because I'm not actually that well versed in Korean films. I've seen a lot more Japanese films. I haven't seen that many Chinese films. I suppose I tend to go for Japanese cinema, but I have to say, from what I've seen from Korea, I've always been blown out of the water. I think I mean, Japanese films can be very weird.
Yeah.
Like, very weird.
I mean, obviously we get a lot of their horror films.
We get a lot of the Japanese horror films. You know, obviously the Japanese are in a lot of action films, a lot of, I mean, if you know Takashi Miike and all his films, complete nutball. Some amazing stuff, love it. But Korean films are not quite as warped. And, you know, so we get some, from Korea, you get some really nice, you know, really nice character pieces, really nice dramas. So I almost find Korean films, you know, closer to the Western cinema.
I mean, I think there's a lot of sort of social commentary and social satire going on, you know, particularly with Bong Joon-ho's films, because, you know, Parasite is clearly about, you know, classes.
It's a bit classes.
And even that kind of turns up in Mother as well, where, you know, they're very poor, you know, this mother and her son, but they do encounter, you know, as you mentioned, the Benz that knocks him over, you know, they're these rich guys who don't really care. The lawyer that she employs, you know, again, you know, loads of money, doesn't really care particularly about her son.
I think there's some really interesting discussions going on in his films, and certainly, yes, Parasite was definitely about the class system, which obviously, if you know a lot of British cinema, that comes up a lot, especially with Mike Leigh, and a kind of a comic way as well, which I think Parasite had that comedy. Well, maybe I should watch it again.
I mean, even The Host, you know, first appearance is just a monster movie, but again, it has social satire in it, and you know, drama and comedy and all that stuff going on, and that's almost like about because there's no mother figure in that, so that's like about a single father, you know, trying to get back his daughter who's been snatched by this.
I haven't seen
monster.
it. I bought you the DVD.
You did?
But I haven't watched it myself.
I'll have to lend it to you.
Do that, yeah. Well, I mean, talking of DVDs, do you have the DVD of this one?
I picked up the Blu-ray. Yeah, unsurprisingly, you know, there's a Korean movie. There's a Korean version. I don't think it's English friendly though, so you know, they're like the extras that don't have any subtitles on.
Right.
This is the US one, which keeps all the features from the Korean version apart from the commentary, because I imagine that's in Korean. You know, it's available in lots of different countries. I think there's a German edition, but again, that's not. It only has German subtitles and no English subtitles.
Right, yeah.
So there is a UK edition as well. I went for the US one because I got it for under £10, which I thought was pretty good. But it has more features. I think there's some stuff on the UK one that's slightly different, but this has more. And I think it's got like 2.5 hours worth of stuff on it, whereas the UK one's like an hour. So yeah, if you want a really deep look into the film with conversations with, you know, the director and the actors and stuff like that, then this is the one to find. It is UK friendly. It'll play on a Region B player and picked it up reasonably cheap. So
excellent.
That's the one to go for. And of course there are DVDs as well, if you want that. Why you would want that, I don't know, but if you can play Blu-rays.
If you don't have a Blu-ray player.
Well, can't help you.
I know people that still have DVD players.
I know people that don't have any kind of disc player.
Right, yes.
What's wrong with them?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, anyway.
They have computers.
Well, they do, yes. They stream everything.
Ugh. Indeed.
Stop killing discs.
Yes, do that.
Because when all those films disappear from whatever streaming service, then you won't be able to watch them, will you? I'll still be able to watch Mother because I have a copy. So, sucks to be you.
And on that note, we should
end.
And that was Mother. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, let us know in the comments below.
Hit the subscribe button up there and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. There's some other videos to check out over there. And come find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And join us next week for another Korean film.